Coming to you from the One More and I'm Out of Here studios. It's another episode of the One More and I'm Out of Here podcast. It feels like we're not going at our typical flat 5 o'clock time.
I know.
It feels like it's early in the day.
It is.
Doesn't it?
It does feel.
I mean, we're going to get done. It's still going to be daylight outside. It's going to be amazing. Going to have so much time to kill.
So much more time for activities.
You may notice I'm Dan Carroll. That's Jason Kiefer. You may notice Pappas has decided not to. I guess he still hasn't recovered from his time at the Gay Pride Parade over the weekend.
Oh,
he didn't. Did he get arrested? Did he have a little run-in with the police?
He might have. And actually, I think I have him. I got a video of him performing.
You do,
which is crazy. Let me just make sure this volume's down just a touch.
I mean, look, he's got better things to do than just to hang out with us all the time. He's got other things in his life.
He's what we call a mover and a shaker, Dan.
Absolutely.
And you're gonna see it. You're gonna see it in this video, and I'm proud of him. With the pride, I'm proud of him.
Let your freak flag fly. Let's see what we got.
How good he is. He doesn't mess around.
That outfit is very slimming, by the way.
That's him taking doing a little flyby of his Gallivant.
Well, he's out getting people to come to the show, and there's some of his buddies hanging out there.
Innocent, family-friendly entertainment.
Gay Pride this weekend. I'm glad Gay Pride month is over, but our buddy Pappas thoroughly enjoying himself at the activities.
That might be Pappas in the white. I'm not sure. Or right there. I don't know. Well, we don't have a Pappas expert. We just got video.
One thing he offers is variety. He's a showman, and when it comes to his show, you never know.
And he gives to the people. That is
kind of guy he is.
That is for sure.
So he's still recovering from the big weekend this weekend. So what else you got going on?
Sorry, I got one of my earbuds is messed up. But I've had a day, Dan. I've had a day. And I'm a little frustrated. You go on rants occasionally, so I'm going to go on one real quick.
I was going to bitch about traffic, but you go ahead.
So, worked the other day, got mandated for part of the shift the day after, which sucks, but I got off a little bit early, so cool. But when I'm gone for 24 hours, I have things that need to be done, right? Things around
tend to pile up.
So riding mower was in the shop. Got a text. It was ready. I was like, all right, cool. So Wednesday morning, I'm going to pick it up early. I had to go rent a trailer because I don't have one. Go rent a trailer, get out, pick it up, do a podcast with Eric and Deadleg. Drop trailer off.
How is our buddy Deadleg, by the way?
He's doing great.
Good.
Doing awesome.
Good.
Take the trailer back, come back. I'm excited to cut the grass because it looks like we have a fucking hayfield in the backyard. I get about halfway through, and after spending a ton of money on the tractor, fucking tire goes off the bead, and dang. So I was pissed. So my day got kind of wrecked because I've got things going on after the podcast.
Was it like that at the outset, or did that happen during the course of the?
It apparently happened during the course because like the tech rolled it right onto the trailer. I looked, and all the tires were good. The invoice said all the tires were checked and filled to their proper PSI. I don't know what happened, but I was pissed because I was on a time frame. I had things to do. Everything is stacked after this. That's why we're going early. So luckily the company that fixed it came to the house, took the tire, and they're bringing it back, and I'll be cutting grass in the dark after my meeting. Luckily it has headlights.
Well, if you use your time efficiently, you can get it done before it gets dark.
I'm hoping. I have a haircut after this, and then Sons of the American Legion meeting at 7:30.
Oh, you didn't tell me about those.
Yeah,
those items on the agenda.
Correct.
I thought you already got your haircut today.
No. So it's just a day. Like, when you go and you have a plan.
I know.
And the monkey wrench gets thrown in, it throws everything off. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to the bar and having some beers. Fuck it. Fuck it till the podcast.
I almost did that today. My day wasn't as bad as yours.
But I mean, in the grand scheme of things, not terrible. Not a terrible thing. It's just an inconvenience. We'll call it that.
All right. But we've got 4th of July coming up. A big 4th of July weekend. Does Andrew hang out with the same crowd 4th of July as he does Gay Pride? Is that or is that a whole different set of people?
Probably. I mean, they got sparklers, Roman candles. I don't know. Potentially. I sent him the email link, by the way, and I need to text him and see if he's either going to call or get on the email.
So we have no idea if he's going to be home. Yeah, we know. Last podcast we talked about a huge long list of Trump achievements, and he's done it again. We're only today is only Wednesday. We're only part of the way through this week, and he's already got a whole nother list of accomplishments that have worked out for him. One, of course, is Alligator Alcatraz. When did we first talk about that? We first talked about that, like maybe 10 days ago?
I think it was 2 or 3 podcasts ago.
And now it's open.
I believe we were one of the first. Honestly. It was a very small blurb.
Yeah, at that time, I would not have guessed that it was actually going to come to be reality.
Pappas is out.
But here we are like 10 days later, and it's happening.
Yeah.
And so Trump was there, much to the chagrin of people who love illegal aliens in this country, which is, if you're a libtard or a Democrat, you probably qualify in that regard. But there's a picture of it.
I know. I'm trying to figure out which
just put up the still picture. And it's pretty amazing that this thing was built in the span of like 7 or 8 days.
Yeah, it was super quick.
And the beautiful things is that Trump used money that the Biden administration was using to house illegals in 4- and 5-star hotels in New York City.
Yeah, was it?
You have any idea how much
the Roosevelt? The Roosevelt was where most of them were.
I mean, what's a night in a 5-star hotel in New York City?
Oh shit,
$600-700, maybe more.
Probably more.
Yeah. And that's what Biden was paying for. This is what Trump pays for. And you talk about efficiency. You can get 1,500 illegals in, not in this space, but there's what, a dozen, half a dozen tents?
Well, it says, I'm reading
like this.
I'm reading the graphic behind or underneath it. I don't think anyone realizes how impressive Alligator Alcatraz is. The state of Florida built this 3,000 bed federal prison in 8 days.
3,000 beds. That is fantastic. So when Trump was on his way to go visit Alligator Alcatraz, here's the thing. Reporters have not yet learned that Trump doesn't cower. He doesn't shy away from his positions. When he gets his mindset on something, he is going to own it for better or for worse. And so when these reporters bring up the whole notion, there's a whole narrative out there that, well, there could be some innocent people there, and you're going to surround them with snakes and alligators, and they could wind up getting hurt. And so this reporter tried to throw out a little canard like that, and the way Trump handled it was absolutely amazing and unbelievably entertaining. So here he is as he's preparing to get on the helicopter, go to Andrews, and head to Alligator Alcatraz. If you haven't seen this, it's an absolute classic.
And obviously, some people in the chats were on Fox News this morning, and we rode this, but it's so worth repeating. But we didn't play this video, which was awesome.
Well, the Alligator Alcatraz is the idea that it's called they just get eaten by an alligator or a snake or something? I guess that's the concept. This is not a nice business. I guess that's the concept. If the snakes are fast, but alligators are, but we're going to teach them how to run away from an alligator, okay? If they escape prison. How to run away. Don't run in a straight line. Look like this. And you know what? Your chances go up about 1%. Okay?
About 1%. That's a mathematical.
Don't run in a straight line.
It's a mathematical fact, Dan. 1%.
Oh my God, serpentine. That's how you got to run. You got a serpentine.
But he's not wrong. And we were talking, Eric and Dead
But
Lake.
it's so funny. Name me another president of the United States that's going to own something like that. We're going to teach him how to run away from gators.
Well, fucking Biden would be like, I want an ice cream shack.
God.
I want an ice cream shack on the premises. So when I come and visit,
That is so funny.
now we talked about it this morning, and I was like, you know what? Let them try. And I know this is like it's a temporary holding facility until everything's processed or they're sent back or whatever. But I made the joke. I was like, I would make it like a game. Like if you're good, you get 3 gold stars. We're gonna put you at the gate and let you out. And go ahead and try.
Knock yourself out.
and see. And I said, I'm too big of a bitch. I'd punch somebody in the face every goddamn day to make sure I stayed there.
If it was me,
Because I don't want any part of that smoke.
if it was me, I'd say, look, if you want to escape, we're not going to, we'll keep the gates locked, but if you want to climb over the fence and go for it, if you make it out, send us a postcard and we'll throw you $1,500. How about that?
We will make you a naturalized citizen.
I don't want to go that far.
If you make it, but you're not going to.
Okay, $2,000.
You're greedy. You're greedy as shit.
But I'm just saying. But so he's there. He's touring the facility. Ron DeSantis is with him. Kristi Noem is with him. And then someone asked him a question about Gavin Newsom, and the way he went after Gavin Newsom, governor of California, another absolute classic from the Trumpster. And I thought it was pretty much fun.
Mr. President, Mr. Governor, what's your message to Governor Gavin Newsom inside of this facility?
Well, the first thing you should do is come here and learn something, because they don't do this. They don't know. They wouldn't know where to begin, and if they did it would cost them 100 times more. So I would say he should call the governor and Kristi, and I'm sure you'd give him because his state is a disaster, and he doesn't do this. We're proud of him.
Mr. President, Mr. Governor, what's your message?
What about Newsom? You got to come here and learn something. His state is a disaster. I mean, that is just that he's got that at the top of mind when it comes to dealing with Gavin Newsom is just fantastic. So yeah, I mean, it is so much fun watching this guy go out there and hey, we're going to teach him how to run. Gavin Newsom sucks. What else do you want to know?
But watching DeSantis's face, and I honestly feel that it was Governor DeSantis' idea to come up with this. He shot it up the chain and was like, hey, we've got this area that's not being used. What do you think? And I think Trump jumped on it, but as he should have. But I don't think DeSantis is getting enough credit for this. I know one of the guys, the older dude from Fox and Friends, Fox and Friends in the Morning, the guy that's not in studio anymore, he went down there, and I watched Steve Ducey, yeah.
Is it? No. Yeah, Steve Ducey is Peter Ducey's dad.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
But walking with him and it's weird to see DeSantis like in kind of casual clothes.
Yeah.
You're used to seeing him in a suit and put together. But he was walking around like a fucking mob boss. Like he looked like Tony Soprano, like just going to the bada bing instead of wearing his suits. But he's walking around. And he was like, "Hey, we got this. We've got this air conditioning, these air conditioning units, for this block, this and that." And watching that interview though, it was interesting to see like how well, and to your point earlier, 8 days they got all of this put together, and it's humane. It's not like they're putting them out there in the swamp to just sweat their balls off and wait. And they're actually going to have, hopefully, and I think it happened, but I'm not positive, where the National Guardsmen can push their paperwork through.
Yep.
And they're going to have a processing center.
They're going to get their due process there.
Yes. So, I mean,
they're going to have legal services available.
What is there not? I mean, what is there not? They're going to get 3 hots and a cot for a little bit.
The tents are air conditioned.
Yeah.
So, it's going to, imagine the middle of the Everglades in June, July, and August. It's got to be a sweltering, 100 and something degrees. It's got to be.
There's a lot of
with the humidity and everything.
It's a lot of ball sweat.
And you know what you do? You walk into the tent. Air conditioned relief. Isn't that nice? That is. I mean, that is fantastic. But it's got to be a lot better than the hellhole that some of these people are living in.
Well, then also
or,
you have
whatever some of these countries that they came from.
And I brought up earlier. You have
no gang members around.
But you have the prison in El Salvador where they are sleeping on top of each other.
Oh,
I mean, just slam packed. Even though that doesn't look like a nice Roosevelt hotel,
it looks like the second or third level of hell is what it looks like.
But this place looks way better than that.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's like, what are your options? And we were talking about protesters. What are you protesting? The majority of, and I said this earlier, the majority of America, the voting Americans, voted for this. You can protest all you want, but what are you protesting?
I'm going to tell you that there's probably going to wind up to be a fair number of people who go to this facility and actually like it there.
Yeah.
That you look, you're not on the run anymore. You're not looking over your shoulder. Not everyone has probably managed to squeeze the government tit the way some people have and extract a fairly decent living off of taxpayer largesse. So there's got to be some people who came here illegally and are really having a hard time of it, but for whatever reason decided to run from the cops, do their illegal things, maybe do some crime, stuff like that. So I think there's going to be some people who wind up going there and saying, you know what, this ain't so bad. and when it comes time to leave, I'm like, hey, I don't want to leave yet. Send Pedro over there. Send a couple of those other hombres. Not me.
He did some worse shit than I did. They start turning on each other.
Give me a broom. I'll sweep up. Whatever.
But I think it's a great idea. And
I love it.
And I think it's obviously the videos and the pictures that we've seen, it's definitely humane. And again, they're getting fed, they're getting their due process. I just don't understand what the problem is. And our buddy James McGee was like, I don't know why more states aren't doing it.
Trump said every state should do it.
Yeah.
And then you got the people on MSNBC, Joy Reid, who's no longer at MSNBC, but she was on, I don't know if she has her own podcast now or she was on some other podcast, but she was saying that this is Trump's concentration camp. Right.
Everything is now being referred to as
call him a Nazi.
Nazism.
Yeah. Call him a Nazi, calling him Hitler. Wants to round up black and brown people because he doesn't like the color of their skin. I mean, what a moron! What a moron she is.
That doesn't even equate.
And then you got Zohorn, Mondani, or whatever the hell that's communist name is. He said that illegal immigrants have made New York a safer place.
I'm sure.
I didn't see.
Ask Zeke Arkham that.
I didn't see an in-depth explanation of that, or how he justifies that at all. but that's what this guy is going on. I mean, this guy is nothing but trouble. And so, when it comes to socialism, which is what he is all about, and socialism is akin to communism. When it comes to socialism, there are other socialist countries in the world. Why doesn't he just go to one of those countries and live under socialism? Why doesn't he go to Venezuela? Why doesn't he go to Nepal? Why doesn't he go to Bolivia? All these socialist countries. Because when you want to be involved in socialism, if you want to have any kind of life at all, you got to be on the ground floor. You got to be, one of the few top dogs in socialism, or your life is going to suck. Yeah. So he doesn't want to go to these other countries and live under their oppressive form of socialism. No, he wants to bring his own brand of socialism to the United States of America.
To the biggest city.
And what's a prerequisite of that is that he's in charge, is that he's the one who calls the shots. Why? If he's the one who's in charge and calling the shots, what's his life going to be like? I mean, he's not going to suffer.
No, absolutely.
He's not going to want for food. He's not going to want for health care. He's not going to want for anything. It's going to be pretty good for him.
Yeah.
Security, all the rest of it. But yet, he wants to have the government-run grocery stores, wants to have government-run housing.
Yeah, cap on rent and all that shit. And some, just think about how many landlords there are in New York City, like private landlords. Now you're cutting them out because that's a business. I'm a landlord. That's a business for me.
Yep.
So you're going to tell me I can't rent my place out. It makes absolutely no sense. And it goes along with, right after the Iran, sorry, I always pronounce it wrong. Iran bombings.
I know. Iran, to me, Iran is perfectly acceptable.
All these people want to. What about the people of Iran? They want the regime out, but guess what? They need our help to get it out. But people want to protest that the American government shouldn't have done that. Well, they obviously haven't been able to do it on their own, so they need help. And it's sickening with the protest with, fucking Alligator Alcatraz, Iran, Ukraine, all of it. We are here in America, and it is slowly encroaching into our country, i.e., with what you just talked about, Mamdani, however you pronounce his name. The guy is a fucking clown. And the amount of videos that are out there to see, old videos, because, when you run for office, everything comes out.
You want to know who, in my estimation, is upset with the success of this guy is Pete Buttigieg. Pete Buttigieg, for the last several months, has been running around with a beard. He's going out giving speeches. He's not a full-blown socialist or communist, but he certainly has those particular leanings. And now he's got to be looking at Mamdani, and he's got to be thinking, well, wait a minute. I'm pretty quick-witted like this guy. I can tell lies with a smile on my face. I can, say things and have people believe them. But yet, here's this guy who ran for mayor of New York, and now he's on every newscast. He's top of mind. Getting, he's the flavor of the month. 15 minutes of fame, all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So, and he's a very dangerous guy. A guy like Buttigieg is extremely dangerous as well. But why is it that you got two guys who, when you put them next to each other, are somewhat similar in appearance, have a lot of the same political ideas? One guy is on the abyss of being confined to the ash heap of history, and this guy, Mamdani, is set to rule New York with an iron grip for the next 4, 8, or 12 years. I don't know what their term limits are there as the mayor. But I mean, think, how's Pete Buttigieg, liking life these days?
Well, I mean, I don't know if he's still wearing the milking breasts. I'm not sure if he's still wearing those or not, but no, it's guy being in politics. What was he? Transportation Secretary of Transportation. Correct. That was his title.
Yeah, Secretary of Transportation. Yeah.
Which took forever for him to get to East Palestine, Ohio, when there was a huge fucking issue. So you wonder. I mean, you do wonder why. I actually don't even wonder why he's looking at, because I can see where he's like, oh man, that could have been me.
Yeah.
But guess what? You made wrong choices, dude. And there's a reason that your nickname is Butt Plug, is because you made wrong fucking choices in your political career. This guy is going to learn that same lesson, because I honestly don't think he's going to win. Do you think he's going to win?
I hope not. I hope he doesn't win, but if
hopes and dreams aside,
yeah,
what do you think?
I would like to think,
because Adams is going to run. Cuomo, I think, is going to run as an independent.
Yeah, you got Curtis Sliwa in there.
And Sliwa, I don't think he has a snowball's chance, but
no, Sliwa doesn't. But
it pulls number. He's like the Ross Perot of this election.
I would like to think that Adams has enough political wherewithal behind him that he can. I mean, this guy needs to be exposed. the media. This is
they sugarcoat
not only
they
as I said
the shit out of it
last time. Not only an indictment of our educational system, because you got all these young people voting for this guy who have no clue what socialism is all about. But now you have, Mondani and the politics that plays a part in that. And I would like to think, I think you've got all these young people out there just voting for him because his name sounds cool.
Right.
And I don't think it really goes any further than that. And they like the idea of free stuff from the government.
That's exactly what they're looking at.
So I hope Eric Adams has enough that this guy is going to be exposed. I mean, anything Mondani says, no one has ever really looked at the, how the sausage is made when you talk about government spending or you talk about government-run grocery stores. How does that work? Is there one reporter in New York who has looked at this guy and said, tell me exactly how it works? And he said, and he's got this thing, he says, we're going to take money that's already going to the big grocery stores, as if there's some sort of pipeline from the government of New York City to big grocery stores. And none of that is true. So, these things need to be vetted. They need to be fact-checked. And it's an indictment not only on our education system, but it's an indictment of our media, too. When the media just sits back and nods their head like bobbleheads and essentially just regurgitates everything that comes out of this guy's mouth, there's no serious examination of the proposals that he's making. So it's going to be on the Adams campaign to expose this guy and the dangers that he is that he's going to bring to New York City.
Well, they're equating, those free the grocery stores, state-run grocery stores, they're equating it to bread lines. You're going to have to beg them to be able to get the things that you need. And we in this country, I have not, but as a people, we've lived that before. And we saw how that fucking worked. But capitalism came around and it seemed to work. People can, free market, people can fucking make money, and you can choose to buy where you wanted to buy, your different wares, whatever it was. And this guy's a fucking clown, man.
And then look, there are giant grocery store chains that are doing quite well out there. Kroger is one of them. Kroger owns a bunch of different grocery store brands, and there's a handful of others in this country. But the thing is, the margins that they operate on are somewhere between 1% and 3%. 1% and 3%. So a government-run grocery store is, just think about it, across the board, going to be able to offer if they run the grocery store at a break-even concept, government run. So you're only saving between 1% and 3% on your total bill.
That's I didn't.
Every time you go in there, is that really worth it?
Yeah,
to go into
that number I wasn't aware of.
A grocery store where the service is going to suck. Let's say someone breaks a jar of peanut butter or jelly in the peanut butter and jelly aisle. How long do you think it's going to take that to get cleaned up by some government employee, right? And in New York, it's going to be a union, and they're going to have to go in.
I can't touch that.
They're going to have to rope the area off. They're going to have to figure out, whose job it is to clean up the peanut butter. Maybe it's someone else's job to clean up the jelly. Yeah, they're going to have to, file a grievance. There's going to be a union. There's going to be, 2 or 3 supervisors standing around.
You bring up so many good points I never even thought of.
That's how something like that is going to work in reality.
Exactly.
Is there going to be any sort of customer service at all? I bet you would have to bag your own groceries in a government-run grocery store.
And bring your own bags.
Yeah.
Because they're not paying for that shit.
Well,
we ain't paying for that shit.
You got to keep your prices low.
Right. We're not paying for the plastic. You bring your own canvas bag and you have to load it yourself as well.
Look, I used to know a guy that was the head of security for Walgreens. And this is back before the shoplifting got so bad. This is in the early days of when the shoplifting was really getting out of control. And there was a time when the majority of theft that occurred in the stores occurred amongst employees. It was employees who were stealing shit out. Stuff was going out the back door and not getting paid for, and all the rest of it. But now you've got so many stores where the shoplifting is so bad, and you can talk to anyone here and I've talked to a lot of police officers who did guard duty as a as a detail. A lot of guys who were on the drop or retired, and so they would put on their
easy overtime gig.
Cincinnati police or their Hamilton County deputy uniform and stand there at the Kroger and provide security. And the amount of shoplifting that went on, especially in some of the stores in the inner city, absolutely ridiculous. And Kroger had a store in downtown Cincinnati, and they just said, we cannot maintain this. We are losing too much money on this store because of all the stuff that gets stolen and shoplifted. And so Kroger's has got to, pull out and shut that store down. And then they're called racist and creating a food desert in the city of Cincinnati. Well, it's people's own behavior that causes that. And it's a small number of people who fuck it up for everyone else. And so what kind of security, what kind of incentive are the employees going to have to ensure that a government-run grocery store doesn't get ripped off or shoplifted? Well, there's no incentive at all.
Well, and
so people are going to come in and just load up their carts and walk right by the checkout. You think it's bad now?
You see videos all the time of that bullshit.
All the time.
The Walmarts, the Krogers, whatever. But when you talk about like the dollars and cents and like breaking it down, like, all right, that jar of jelly broke and you got need to wait for a union worker to come in. But it's funny. I follow this guy on TikTok and it's fucking hilarious. He's called the cart narc. So he hangs out in the parking lots of fucking, and he's been around Cincinnati before. I actually tried to get him on the podcast and schedules didn't work out because he's got a ton of followers, but it's just so funny. So if somebody doesn't return their cart, like to the cart corral as a normal human being would do, and just, shove it into another parking space, he has these fucking magnets or flags that are magnetic, and he'll fucking toss it on your car. And then these people just lose their shit. And he was like, why didn't you take your cart back? Why didn't you take your cart back? I mean, just be a good human being. And they're like, fuck you. Get that shit off my car. He's like, no, it's a present. It's a present. That way everybody knows that you don't return carts. Absolutely. If you don't follow him, Cart Narc, follow him. He's fucking hilarious.
That's funny.
But I say that to bring, when you don't return your carts, they have to pay somebody to go do that shit.
Yeah.
Right? They're paying people to go collect carts versus getting them out of the cart corral. And if you're looking at it, you're breaking it down into how much money per hour / per minute. Those people that are collecting carts could be way more proficient if everything was put where it was supposed to be. Does that make sense? Instead of going all around the parking lot and they're like, well, where's Johnny? Oh shit, he's on the back 80 getting 17 carts that are in parking spaces. All of that shit equates, and that's what they look at. Like these big grocery chains, that's what they look at. Now, I try to shop as local as I can. Obviously, local owned businesses are their margins, are a lot different than big grocery stores. But like we've got a place, right down the street, Summit Meats. If I want to grill a steak, I tend to go there. I'll pay a little bit more, but it's a better cut of meat.
Sure.
Versus going to a major grocery store. Now, your normal stuff, yes, you go there. But people don't understand that. And these people in New York are going to get fucked. If they vote this guy in, they're going to be completely fucked, even more so than they are now. Because these all these little bodegas and that, they rely on that business. And they're going to be pushed out. And tell me, and I've never been to New York. I know you talked on the last podcast or 2 podcasts ago.
I've been there a few times.
You've been there a few times.
Yeah.
You don't find major grocery stores.
Not in the city.
No, not in the city.
Right.
So these little bodegas are going to be put and run out of business. And these are hardworking people that are trying to make a life for themselves.
Well,
so then where do they go?
I don't know. I was just looking at this piece. Fox News wrote a piece about this, and they talked to an expert in the grocery business, and they're talking. This is Mondani says it'll cost $60 million each to launch one grocery store in each of the five boroughs. So one grocery store, $60 million. In some neighborhoods there's a bodega on almost every single corner.
Yeah.
So people are not going to,
and they know their people by name.
Yeah, people are not going to change those routines, I think, to go to the government-run grocery store. I don't think that's going to happen. So I mean, these things they're going to be total losers to begin with. So you're going to put all this government money out there. He talks about $140 million that goes to from this other program. It's not really government money. These grocery stores they did a pilot program there to do something, and so if these grocery stores participated, they got a small tax break. So that's how he's saying that there's government money going to the giant grocery stores, and they're going to use that instead. I mean, what a bunch of crap.
We're going to help you out if you abide by or ascribe to our idea.
Yeah. Well, at least I haven't heard any young people around here thinking it's a good idea that this guy gets elected.
It's yeah. When I saw that he won that primary, I was like, oh my God.
And just one more thing on this before we get off this topic. Zara Rahim, who formerly worked for Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton campaigns, once said that she hoped that Trump would die. Okay. She is now working as a communications director for Zoran Mamdani.
that couldn't have been written any better. It's like a children's book.
His campaign paid Rahim $3,500 for communications consulting in May. Before working for Mamdani, Rahim was best known for expressing her hope that Trump would die of coronavirus when he came down with the Wuhan in the fall of 2020. It's been against my moral identity to tweet for this the past 4 years, but I hope he dies. Rahim posted on X in October that year, just days after Trump's diagnosis.
What a piece of shit.
Yeah. She later added after lock, she added that this effing rules, later added after locking her ex account. So, yeah, she's a child of Bangladeshi immigrants. And now she's, someone that, again, worked for Clinton, worked for Barack Obama, now working for this guy. And gladly he hires someone to be his communications consultant. Yeah. And she is on record saying that she hoped Trump dies of the Wuhan. So that's the kind of people that that our boy in New York is hiring to work for him.
And this is all right now, like off the cuff stuff. But question for you: so obviously, he's in contact with AOC.
Oh yeah, there's video of her slobbering all over that dude.
So I feel like look at this hand, and ironic. My other hand is off the screen. Don't worry about what's happening over here, but look at this. Look at this, and don't worry about what's happening over to my left that you can't see. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. It's her way of staying connected to the community that hates her because all the shit that's coming out about her.
Oh, well, she loves socialism too.
Right.
There's no doubt about it. The video
that just hit me today, and that's I wanted to get
the video I saw of her hanging out with Zohan or Zorhan, whatever you say his name.
Doesn't work here anymore. Fuck him.
She looked like she was putting on a little weight, so she needs to watch that.
She needs to get back behind the bar.
And it's getting and speaking of Ocasio-Cortez, I was with a buddy of mine who's a doctor. And he's a doctor who makes quite a bit of money. And he looked at me and he said, I've got financial advisors. I've got people that look after my the money that I earn, do investments for me and all this other stuff. He says Ocasio-Cortez was a bartender before she came to, and look, he's not looking down on bartenders. I mean, that's not his point. But he said, I'm a doctor. I've been a doctor for 40 plus years now. I earn a very good living. I have all these professionals that look out for my best financial interest. You got that kind of money. You pay.
He's also got a lot of responsibility.
Yeah,
in that 40.
But he says, how is it that her net worth is now like $26 million? He says, look, I've done pretty well for myself, but I don't have 26 million.
Yeah.
He's looking at this and saying, how can that possibly be? When I've got all the, and I said, she's tapped into, whatever it is in Congress in Washington, D.C.
fucking trade
that allows you to, make these, make these trade deals following the Nancy Pelosi playbook,
exactly.
I guess.
If you want to make money, follow her.
I saw a guy.
Get her portfolio and follow it.
A guy put out an app that follows all of Nancy Pelosi's trades.
I did see that.
You can put that app on your phone, and you can trade exactly like Nancy Pelosi does, and probably make an assload of money.
What a great idea for some, and I'm sure it's probably some 20-something, college graduate,
That's a great idea, though.
Nerdy dude, but he was like, "Hey, I got an idea.
Yeah,
how about that? That's $1 million idea right there. I want to invest in his app." One more and I'm out of here. Should invest in that.
Yeah. So we had obviously changing gears here. I mean, we had a terrible situation in Idaho. You ever been to Idaho?
I have never.
I've driven through Idaho one time. Idaho is an amazing state. I mean, I've
heard that. I don't visualize it just because of school and whatever, and never being there. All you know is potatoes.
Yeah.
But I have heard it is gorgeous, gorgeous land.
I've been to a lot of states out west. I've been to California, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona. But driving through Utah was one of the most amazing experiences that I've ever had. I mean, the scenery and look, I mean, I didn't go on vacation there.
Utah or Idaho?
Idaho.
Okay. Well, you just said Utah.
Well, I've been to Utah.
Yeah.
I drove through Utah and Idaho.
Okay.
Utah was cool as well, but I remember thinking, I've never heard anyone talk about this amazing scenery that is out here in Idaho.
No, people don't.
It is absolutely breathtaking. It is such beautiful country, and there's good reason why people decide to go live there, because I mean, you talk about being in remote locations and being away from it all. I mean, Idaho is fantastic, but what happened to these firefighters out there in Coeur d'Alene, absolutely horrendous.
I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna play it. Hopefully, it plays correctly. It should.
Another story we're following from Idaho. Idaho authorities are now naming the man who they suspect killed 2 firefighters in a shocking ambush Sunday afternoon. Chief Correspondent Jonathan Hunt has the latest from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Good evening, Jonathan.
Good evening, Brett. A short time ago, officials formally identified the suspected shooter as 20-year-old Wes Rowley. The sheriff said investigators believe Rowley intentionally started a brush fire and then shot and killed 2 firefighters when they arrived on scene and asked him to move his vehicle. The bodies of the firefighters who died were removed from the mountains just north of Coeur d'Alene in a solemn procession Sunday night. They had rushed to the area to battle a brush fire, but within minutes of arriving, instead found themselves the targets of a hidden sniper, prompting this emergency call from another firefighter on scene.
I need law enforcement up here immediately. We've got 2 unresponsive battalion chiefs, gunshot wounds, multiple gunshot wounds. 2 Coeur d'Alene firefighters are down. I'm pinned down behind Battalion 1's rig. It's clear to me that this fire was set intentionally to draw us in.
Around 300 officers and agents from local police and the FBI converged on the scene to search for the gunman, who the sheriff said started the fire to set a trap.
This was a total ambush. These firefighters did not have a chance.
After several hours having tracked a cell phone signal, SWAT officers found the body of a man a weapon nearby. And at that point, the sheriff said there was no longer a threat. Idaho Senator Jim Risch was among the many state officials who spoke out today to condemn the attack.
This evil attack on the people who dedicate their lives to protecting and serving our communities is despicable, and it's not Idaho.
In his press conference a short time ago, the sheriff said they believe that at one point Rowley, the shooter, had applied to become a firefighter, although they do not know if that played any role in his motive. The sheriff also said Rowley killed himself as SWAT teams closed in. Brett.
Jonathan Hunt live.
It's fucking gross. It's fucking gross all the way around. And again, like I said, I was with Eric and Deadleg, and we talked about it. The guy that was making those radio transmissions was as calm as he could be. Very impressive. And I said, I don't know that I'd have been that calm, but that's not what we sign up for. Police officers carry guns. They know they're going to potentially face somebody, with a firearm or whatever. But the fact that this piece of shit sets this fire to ambush these guys, and I had heard what he had said, where he was aspiring or was idolizing. I'm trying to. I thought I had the article up. Where he was idolizing firemen. So apparently he had tried to take the test to be a wildland fireman and missed the cut multiple times, and apparently was pissed off. Wildland fireman, I don't know any part about that outside of friends that I know, but that's not. I'm a structural fireman versus a wildland, so I don't know like what the rigors are to get through that test. But the fact that you don't make it, and then you decide, and obviously he has a scattered past in the fact that there was a protection order against his family, or again, his family put it on him, last year. The guy was mentally unstable. So that's probably tick number one why you didn't get on, whether it was physical or anything else after that. But to do that, like these guys, these two individuals that passed, and once, as far as I know, still in critical, they didn't sign up for that bullshit. So our society is so fucked right now, to where now, like, I have our younger firemen that work with me, like, well, should we be worried, where we go? Because I said it on Fox News today. I work in a predominantly lower demographic, socioeconomic demographic, and deal with shootings. And they're like, well, even though that happened there, should we start thinking about that? And I'm like, well, I mean, we already kind of do, but it's scary. These guys went to work not expecting to run into that bullshit, and their families let them go to work not expecting to deal with that bullshit. It just it breaks it absolutely breaks my fucking heart.
Yeah, it's absolutely horrible. The one guy had 30 years in. He had to be looking at retirement before too long. And then I see people trying to take political advantage of this.
Exactly. Yep.
Saying, oh, his parents were MAGA supporters and all the rest of that. You know what? This kid was, what was he, 18, 19? Was he 20 years old?
20.
Yeah. No, the kid's 20 years old. He's responsible for what he does.
Yep. Frank Harwood and John Morrison are the ones that passed, so I want to say their names. And then Dave Tisdale, I think I'm saying it, Tisdale. He was the one that's injured, and I haven't heard any different. I just knew he was in critical. I want their names out. Fuck this guy, though. I don't even want to say his fucking name, but it's the fact that
he's a coward. I mean, he killed himself. So he's a punk and a coward, and And I don't care what his political affiliation is. When something like this happens, you got to call it out for being wrong. And I'm at least I'm encouraged that I haven't seen a whole lot of chatter on the social media about this. I haven't seen any, like we had in here, a dude runs over a Hamilton County Sheriff's deputy thinking he's avenging his son. And you had a whole list of people who were saying, this guy was fighting back against the man, did the right thing, all that kind of crap.
Exactly.
At least I have seen, very limited response, in that sort of vein when it comes to talking about this guy. So hopefully this guy will be forgotten before long. But the incident and those firefighters who lost their lives are not going to be forgotten.
Yeah, this article from The Guardian that I found, it says gunman's life went downhill in months before fatal attack on Idaho firefighters. And it says, Wes Rowley, I'll say his name once, was living out of his vehicle, and his former roommate, TJ Franks Jr., said he shaved off his long hair and started to kind of go downhill, in quotes. The two lived together for about 6 months in Sandpoint, Idaho, until that dude moved out in January. Authorities say he took his own life in Sunday shootings. And I can't pronounce that county. Kootenai County, Idaho. Suspected killing 2 battalion chiefs. And I was saying earlier, I don't know what their compliment is, when they respond to that. That's just something I don't know. It's weird to have 2 battalion chiefs. I think one was a county guy, one was Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah.
So I think one was a city guy, one was a county guy, and they're going to go attack this or look at it. But his family, he was completely estranged from his family for the last year. And they're looking into what firearms expertise he had or any of this. And I thought I had the picture and I don't. But he had posted a picture of him all face dressed out like a special forces.
Yeah,
dude.
I saw that.
And I thought I had it and I must have deleted it. But the guy knew what he was going to do, and that just sucks. That just sucks when you leave your house that morning to go do your fucking job. And you're going to go do your job because there's a fire going. And then you're taking fucking sniper fire. Fuck off. There's a special place in hell for that guy. And, obviously our hearts and prayers are with those families that are dealing with it. But we typically don't have to deal with fireman stuff on here or on the Fox News or Failure to Stop. But I did see our buddy Thomas Wells, who I podcast with, and I think you've talked to, the former Springdale police chief. He's always on our buddy James McGee's show. And this meme was going around, and it was cops that were sharing it. And firemen and cops always, they have that tit for tat thing.
Yeah,
first responder, second responder type bullshit. And Tom, who was a former chief, said, I would never second guess now fire department staging until the scene is safe. I will never make fun of them for that. Now, this is a whole different scenario. They're just going in to do their job and wouldn't have to think about
Well, they went into the area because there's people that camp and hike and recreate in that area.
Yeah.
So they went in there, and there could have very well been people who were in harm's way, people who were trapped. So they go in. All they know is that there's a report of a brush fire. They go in, and probably the first thing they're doing is looking to see if anyone needs rescued. Hey, look, here's how you get out. Follow us. They went in looking to save lives.
Yeah,
I have no doubt that's why they charged in the way that they did. So, for a punk like this to take advantage of a situation like that, I think of the way that Sonny Kim got killed.
Yep.
And, there was a guy who who called police and said, "Hey, there's a dude with a gun running around the neighborhood over here," and so police have to respond to that. And then, of course, it turns out the guy with the gun was him. So, I don't know. You got just some sick fucks out there that do stuff like this.
Let's do a quick ad read.
Okay, let's do that. Hi, everyone. Dan Carroll here. Time to tell you about a great new sponsor for the One More and I'm Out of Here podcast. It's Murphy Engraving. Murphy Engraving is the place to go for your business, industrial, and personal engraving needs. Take a look at the Murphy Engraving page on Facebook, and you're going to see all kinds of unique items that really seem to take on a life of their own because they've been customized with an image, a name, or a logo, and all of it just really beautifully done. The acrylic sports awards that light up are especially creative and very cool. The customized bottles of bourbon, those are my personal favorite. And wait till you see what they can do with items that are made out of wood. The next time you want to recognize someone special or you're looking for that one-of-a-kind gift, you'll be glad you checked out Murphy Engraving. And a bonus, you're supporting a local family-owned business run by brothers Brian and Kevin, who is a lifetime firefighter and Air Force vet. At Murphy Engraving, they turn the ordinary into the extraordinary, and at Murphy Engraving, we are American-made.
Love Murphy Engraving. Love them. Hey, Falk,
Great sponsor of the show.
Falk,
appreciate everything they do.
Falk put in the comments, how's your son doing? She wants to check in on your boy.
He's good. He's got the day off today. He's squaring away with our buddy Jim Calder in a round of golf. And he said he was going to beat Calder in golf today. So I said, you better be able to back up those words. So far, I've not received an update. But no, he's it's interesting to hear the stories that he tells when he gets done. He calls his mom almost every, the guy's, going to be 28 years old pretty soon. Still calls his mom after every shift, which she appreciaes greatly.
Yes. That's awesome. I mean, us as dudes, we'll bust his balls about it, but no, that's great. So I hear, and she puts them on speakerphone. So I hear the stories of, when they're still fresh in his memory about, the different runs that he went on that night. And then I'll tell you just a quick little thing he said a couple of nights ago, which surprised me greatly because, it's summertime. It's warm out all night long. We're talking overnight temperatures have been in the 70s, upper 70s. So that's typically when people hang out on the streets all night long. He said between 2 and 6 a.m., they didn't get a single call. Wow. How rare is that? Wow.
How unusual. I said, dude, don't get used to it because it ain't gonna stay that way.
Yeah, there's something happening in the fucking water right now because
so
my department typically doesn't get things after midnight, and we got smoked the other night. So we're kind of doing the inverse.
Yeah.
I'm in a very, very small suburban department, but yeah, don't get used to that shit.
Yeah, but then the last night he worked, he had a situation that got a little hairy. So it all kind of comes out in the wash.
That's good. It sounds like he's doing awesome. It seems like he's loving it. eating.
Oh no, he's loving it. But I either expect a text from either him or Jim Calder to brag about which one won the match today.
I can't.
So we'll see what happens.
I can't. Well, you need to make sure you include me in all that. I don't know with the holiday coming up. I'm not sure when we're going next. Sometime next week.
Happy Independence Day.
Sometime next week.
250 years for America. There's a poll out that Democrats do not feel, by and large, proud to be Americans. New Gallup poll shows a sharp decline in national pride amongst Democrats. Only 36% of Democrats describe themselves as extremely or very proud to be an American. Only 36%.
Well, we have plenty of people that want to come in, so they can absolutely leave.
So,
Rosie O'Donnell.
Do the math there. What is that? 64, 66%, 67% of Democrats are not proud to be Americans. You people got something wrong with you, man. You really do. You got look, when Joe Biden was president, I was not happy about it. But was I still proud to be an American? Absolutely.
Yep. You're never going to take that from me.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, you've got, and you've got, you got to get that squared away. You got to talk. You got to talk to if you're listening to us and you're a Democrat. The first way I think that we find common ground on a lot of these issues is to be proud of our country.
That's where it starts.
And this goes back. For me, this goes all the way back to the when what's his name was taking a knee.
Oh,
right.
Caperdouche.
Yeah.
I don't say his name either.
Okay.
Caperdouche.
Well, now I can't even think of what his name
Kaepernick.
is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Colin Kaepernick.
Who was adopted by two white people, by the way.
Right. I mean, and so when he was
given a great life,
back when he would look at the divide that created in this country.
Yes.
When he was doing that. And, the thing I've always said is that, the least, not the most non-political thing that you should be able to do is fly the American flag. There should be no politics attached to that whatsoever.
Absolutely not.
And when you've got players at a football, think about this. Well, this will be my closing thought on today.
Before your closing thought, you brought up flag. So I saw a video of a World War II veteran who is probably, I want to say the age, and I might be wrong, but 94.
Sounds about right.
He's old as shit.
Yeah.
Walker and his neighbor goes into his house, and he's got this huge American flag over his fireplace. And he goes, "What does that mean to you?" The guy sits there and thinks about it, and he looks at it, and he goes, "That means greatness." And he goes, "If everybody would ascribe to greatness looking at that, we would have no problems." But guess what? It's not the way our fucking society has fucking worked.
It doesn't work that way, right?
But hearing that from somebody who literally survived World War II, made it back, most of his buddies didn't. He looks at that flag way differently than you and I do. But he looks at that flag every day and says, "That's greatness." Go ahead.
But my closing thought on this is going to be, and I wasn't expecting to go here today at all, talking about Kaepernick when he was taking a knee. But what I said on the radio back during that time was this: that, think about those players on the field, and when the national anthem is playing, you got them; they're all lined up on each side of the field. And in a couple of minutes, they're going to be out there on the field trying to bash each other's brains in, right? They're going to be running into each other at 20, 25 miles an hour. People could get hurt. People could get maimed. They could lose the ability to walk. So they wear different uniforms. They both want to win the game. They both don't care if their opponent gets hurt. In a professional sense, they probably care. But if they go down during the game, hey, look, we were trying to win the game. But yet they're able to put that aside for what? For one thing, to show that there's something bigger than the football game, and that's the United States of America. Mm-hmm. You play the national, and that's why I was so upset when the NFL let that get so far out of hand the way it did.
Well,
now the NFL they've done well to rein it in, and they're profiting immensely because of it.
It took fucking like 2 years for them to rein it in.
Yeah, but what have they found out? They found out that being a good American is good for business.
Yep,
absolutely. So, the fact that they're able to put that aside and respect the flag, that's how it should be for the rest of us. Mm-hmm. We've got our political differences. I don't like Biden. You might like Biden. I like Trump. You may not like Trump. We can put all that aside, find common ground in the greatness of America. Then, from there, we might be able to solve some problems.
Absolutely.
So that's it for me.
So
have a great 4th of July.
Have a great 4th of July. Nobody blow any fingers off. And I will
finger check when we come back. I still got all mine.
Follow us on Instagram, and I'll let you know when the next show is. We got to get our schedules together. Obviously, the holiday weekend's going to throw some things off. But also, Joe goes out of town.
God, so my July is a mess, too. I got so much
I'm
shit
unsupervised all next week.
Oh,
so
my God.
I might be podcasting by myself. I don't know.
Is Men's Night coming up next week?
I don't know. Well, there might be a drunk podcast that shows up, but stay tuned. But hey guys, we love you. Please share the podcast. Also, before we go, promote Eric Tangi's his book Pig Latin, getting ready to release in a month and a half. We're going to have a huge thing here in Cincinnati. We're not sure exactly what's happening yet because I need dates from him, but we got some big stuff happening with One More and I'm Out of Here and Failure to Stop and the whole network. So that we're being included in, which is great. Gonna have a huge party. So as soon as we know what that is, you'll have it. But we appreciate you guys, and share the show, download, like, subscribe, and we love you.